Thank you for joining us for this episode of That Solo Life, the podcast for PR pros and marketers who work for themselves. People like me, Michelle Kane with Voice Matters, and my wonderful co host, Karen Swim of Solo PR Pro. Hey, Karen, how are you?
Hello, Michelle. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. We're all living the dream, right?
We
And
are
we are.
counting
We are.
down I think there's like 36 more days left in this year as we record this broadcast.
Ooh, yeah, that sounds about right. Wow. I tell you, yeah, this will probably air in December, perhaps as we kick off December. But yeah, it feels like November was like whoosh. It just flew by. I
For
don't know.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
time is flying, but there's a lot going on. So today we're going to take a tiny peek back, but also look forward to things that are happening. And one of the things that are happening is your business filing. If you have not done the BOI filing yet, do it. It's the Corporate Transparency Act. It's basically telling the government and FinCEN that yes, I am who I say I am, as if they shouldn't already know that, but whatever. But we'll play along. But I know it's something that a lot of us who own our own businesses, it's kind of flown under the radar, this requirement. But apparently there's a hefty fine if you don't do it. So
Yeah, it's interesting because again, I've heard about it since the beginning of the year, and we had some of our solos post about it. I first heard about it and learned through Hiscox in
mm,
insurance company. They sent out an email and they included the information, so I read about it. Of course, I didn't do it immediately, but I have done it. But I do agree with PR professionals who have said they've just done it. The government's done a terrible job
yeah,
about making this information known to the many, many, many small business owners and business owners that are out there.
yeah,
Accountants have told their clients, but some are just hearing about it at the 11th hour. So please know that you do not have to pay your accountant to file this paperwork. If you use payroll processors, many of them will offer to do it for a small fee. You do not need to pay anyone to file this. You simply go online, and we will have the link again in our show notes, and you fill out this online application. Within about 5 minutes, you'll get an email confirmation that it was submitted. I actually then got you're all clear, you're done within about half an hour. So everything happened in the same day. And it takes about 5 minutes to fill out. It's no big deal. It's just you're registering your name and your address and who has ownership. And I believe you put in your
probably EIN maybe.
IN or something. I believe, I can't remember, but it was super duper short.
Well,
So you
I'll
do
know.
need to file it.
I'll, I'll
Yeah.
I'll know when I do it. It's on the list along with renewing my health insurance and checking my Pennsylvania Power Switch energy rate. And
Oh, health insurance. That's a good one to talk about because
yeah,
it's that time of year.
it's
And
that
so
time
here's
of year.
here's a quick tip for everybody who's not already doing this. Please do yourself a favor and meet with an insurance broker,
Yeah,
because insurance brokers will get you. So I want to back up. If you buy insurance directly from an insurer or you buy it through the marketplace, those plans are not underwritten. Because they're not underwritten, they're lumping you in with everyone who has health issues. That means the premiums are so much higher. If you go through an insurance broker, they're going to try to get you plans that are better suited to you. And particularly if you don't have any underlying health issues and you're relatively healthy, that means you're getting an underwritten plan and your rates are going to be hugely different. So
yeah,
you can save a lot of money just by taking that extra step, working with an insurance broker. They don't even have to be in the same state as you. You can meet with them via, video call or telephone, give them some basic information and have them look for some programs for you. I promise you it will be well worth your time. And, that old saying, knowledge is power.
yep.
This is another of those instances because if you can save, for me, switching from buying direct from an insurer to going through a broker, wait for it, saved me $400 a month.
Nice. Wow. Okay,
Um,
puts
that's
this
a
on the
lot of
list.
money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's a
it and
lot of
honest
money.
Yeah. And you know what? And it is tempting, right? Because last year, again, I felt rushed and I just said, "Ah, okay, fine." And I
Yeah.
went through the marketplace. The Pennsylvania marketplace is called Penny. And I'm like, all right, fine, that's fine. And found out though, tax time. I was like, phew, why is my tax bill higher than I thought it should be? Well, because you're subsidized and you're subsidized perhaps more than you should be, right? So that comes calling when you file your federal taxes. So be aware of that as well as you're making choices. If you can afford to pay a little more for your premiums, then at the end of your tax year you won't be like me going, oh
Yeah.
crud, I forgot to think about that, because as solos, we tend maybe not to think about ourselves as much as we
Yeah.
should.
These are
Ah,
two very important things that you need
yeah.
to do before the end of the year.
Yes.
And they're both really quick. It's not going to take you a lot of time. So don't push it to the bottom
Right.
of that
Don't.
list that gets shoved into a corner until January. Just do it. Take a few minutes and do it today, because one gets you legally compliant and saves you money because you don't get fined. The second one will save you money going into the new year. And I think that that should be the theme for all of us. What ways can I cut unnecessary expenses and add to my revenues?
Agree. Agree. So switching gears a little bit, has anyone been watching the news lately? Because it seems like a lot of us has given up watching the news. But
Mm.
seriously, I'm sure many of us have taken a bit of a break at the 24-hour churn, and it's showing up in ratings. Many of the cable news mega stations have seen serious drop off in viewership. And I think part of that is it is interesting to see the shift into, we're all like shifting into mental self-care mode, which I think is smart. But it's not exactly I don't think an entirely new phenomenon. I think, could it be as a culture that we are tiring of the 24-hour churn and the drama, the incessant drama being thrown at you where everything is breaking news when it's really not. And um, just the idea of having enough time pass with all of that, because I don't know, for me, I would tune in because I'm thinking, yeah, this is going to help me be productive and a better citizen, and blah blah blah. And then you realize it really doesn't. It really doesn't. But how does that impact us as PR pros as we try to tell the stories of our clients? And I know we've talked about this a lot before, right? Of, well, we need to look at different avenues anyway, because the earned media road has been increasingly challenging. Am I crazy?
You are not.
Good.
It's a crisis for us
Yeah,
in
it
so
is.
many ways.
Yeah.
It's big money media, and I do believe that there's a huge difference between big money media and independent journalism. The popularity is declining, and our audiences are going other places. And it used to
Yeah.
be so easy. Remember the old days where you a morning show was a huge win, but
Yeah.
who's watching the morning shows anymore? And even the broadcast stations are decreasing salaries of those big personalities on morning shows because they realize,
Yeah.
and this kind of happened when the scandals happened a few years ago, that
Yeah.
when you program is done because of a big personality leaving, but then you come out the other side and you're like, huh, that actually didn't hurt us at all. Then you
Right.
start that, well, why are we spending all of this money when we don't have to? Which has, we're going to just continue to see more shakeups. We're going to see more billionaires wanting to own media companies because it gives them a platform. But
Yeah.
from our crisis, I think the real thing is, how do you reach people that are tuned into nothing?
Right. That's wow. That's a good one. I think I'm speechless. But yeah, I mean, that really is our challenge, because we do have a great segment of society that doesn't pay attention to the news, whether they know it's, just going to mess with their head, or there's the mistrust, right? And there's so many reasons why they don't go to the usual suspects anymore. And I think, it does make me think of, one of my dearest friends had made her career in experiential marketing. And I think maybe that's perhaps more of the way, right? Going out to people, giving them opportunities to have a little fun or engage in a way. Of course, this depends on your client work, right? That's not going to be for everyone, but I do think, and I'll tease one of our upcoming guests. We have Lisa Gerber coming back. Storytelling. What's your story? Everyone has a
Yeah.
story, and that comes down to businesses too, of what you do, how you help people, how you serve people. And I think in this place that we're in, I think that is where you are going to engage most deeply. First of all, gaining trust and engaging on a story personal level. That doesn't mean you're going one on one to every person, but you need to engage at common points of commonality, common need, common sense of what's good and what can be helpful. And that's often not really, it's not.
It's
Sometimes it's
so
just not
true.
easy, but it's true.
We've exhausted social as well.
Yeah.
People are turning away from meta properties because they don't like the tie to billionaires and they don't like the way that information could potentially be shared and the protections around it. So people are looking at alternative sources. So
Yeah.
again, how do you reach people that are tuned into nothing? And I think we as communicators really have to start to get a little more creative again and not
Mhm.
rely on the try and true. So we know that
Right.
the trade media still exist, although they've undergone a shift too. Many have gone to paid formats because you have
Yeah.
to survive. But we forget about, it's interesting. I don't know about in your town, but we have like this little local free paper that comes to our mailbox and people read that thing from cover to cover because
Wow.
they want to know like, oh, well, when's the Christmas lighting and when's
Right.
the dog luau at the park and what's
Right.
going on. So, don't forget about local markets. And when you have national clients, you can have campaigns that target local markets where
Yeah.
they have a huge demographic because we do. We think, if we have a local client, then we think about local markets, but we don't think about that for national.
Yeah.
Think about alternative media sources, think about dig deeper for stories that can cross industries. So, for example, you may be a tech company, but perhaps there's a tie-in to a sports theme and you could,
Mhm.
pitch a sports publication. So I think that we just have this is where use AI to be more efficient so that you have more time to think and to
Yeah.
brainstorm and start to think beyond the old tools because
Yeah.
we're going to have to really be agile and we're have to be really creative. Another idea is bring your audience to you.
Yeah.
We don't talk, I think, enough to our current customers and we don't really give them the tools to talk to other people. We
Yeah.
send emails about sales or new features, but we're not really engaging in. What about, bringing in your, trying the Harley Davidson approach and bringing your best customers or, opening up customer events? What if,
Yeah.
if you're B2B, do you have customer councils? Are you using that as a tool for marketing? So we do
Yeah.
have to think differently. These are all things that we all know, but
Yeah.
we've been busy doing what works. But what
Yeah.
used to work is not going to work in the
No.
new.
No, but that is something you touched on, creating community. I think creating community will always work. It's just how do we do it? When social media came about and was really hot, that was a great way to do it. And then they over monetized it and now we're done with it. But people still want to gather, I think even more. They definitely want to gather. So if you have, something of a common interest, I mean, look, I have a car dealer client. They have a car show every year, and you would think, ugh, of course. Well, no, not of course. It's not a given that people are going to come, but they do because they love things on wheels. And of course, we have a charity angle to it, and they love doing good and spending time together in their community. So think of the different, industries that you deal with. And trust me, I would say in most, if not all industries, there's a way. There is a
Yeah,
way.
I love that. And I think you said something. I read something recently about how Snapchat has been, how they've taken their whole concept to go
Mhm.
into community building. Here's the one thing that we all know, regardless of what industries you serve, and, who your audiences are, people are lonely.
Mm,
We do know that. We have
yeah.
statistics to back that up, and that loneliness has been increasing year after year. So when you provide people a way to connect, when you are the connection point, you're solving a problem that's happening to society that is also working for the better good of your client. So think about more than just selling them something and more than just telling your story, but think about how can we use our platform to broaden that community, to bring people together with shared interests. Sometimes it's even through creating a user group like the banks. I've gotten a slew of invitations to join panels to become part of a
Mhm.
community that helps to drive new features and products. So there's polls and prizes for that. But really, the banks that are doing it well are pushing interact with people.
Yeah.
You get to do your profile, talk to people, because if you're all interested in doing something for this bank and being a part of a panel and having a say in what works and what doesn't work, maybe you have other interests that you can share. And it seems really silly. And it's stuff, again, that we've been doing for years. But I
Right.
think the stakes are different today. And we
Yeah.
have to really start to pull more things out of our toolbox and think about even the older tactics. How can we make them more relevant? What more can we do with them? What can we change and tweak a little bit to make this even more effective in 2025?
Agree. And what a great note to end on. So we hope so. Don't forget, listeners, you've got your things to do, your BOI filing. Make sure you get good health insurance. And let's start to think toward 2025 with open minds and just keep doing the good work that we all do. And we hope if you've got value out of this, that you will share it with your friends because Solo PR Pro is a wonderful community. So check us out on soloprpro.com because it is a great place to be. Let us know what you want to hear from us. We'd love to dig in on a topic idea from you. And until next time, thanks for listening to That Solo Life.